Hi guys, I am going to be doing a video today just to show you guys how to repot plants, orchids that you just bought at the store. Sometimes you guys buy plants, or we buy plants at the store that look very nice, but in fact they are very distressed, and it's not good to keep them in the pots that they come in, or it's not good to keep them with the soil or the medium that they come in. So I'm going to show you guys just a good tip on how to repot your orchids and how to take care of them as soon as you bring them home so that they can be healthy and stay healthy. So today I bought these two from my local market at Publix, and as you can tell, these are doing okay. This one has 3 leaves. The leaves are firm, but they're a little flimsy, and this one has 1 leaf back here that is a little damaged. I'm just going to flip it around. Is a little bit damaged. It looks like it's been cracked in a couple places. It looks like at one point it has been bitten by some insects. So it just needs a little bit of love and care, and we're just going to try to help it out a little bit. So aside from that, it has beautiful purple flowers, and as you can tell, the flowers are doing okay. But when it comes to orchids, they are beautiful and their flowers are beautiful, but the flowers is not what the plant is all about. When it comes to orchids, the base of the plant is what tells you if the plant is healthy or not. So we are going to repot this one. And then I also bought this little one, which I thought was so cute because the pot was very small and very tiny. Is a little bit healthier. The leaves, as you can tell, are a little bit more firm, a little bit more green. And it is a little bit more healthier than the first one. But because it's a more smaller plant, as you can tell, it is very compact and it's very squeezed into this little tiny pot here. So it may have some roots in there that are probably dead. It may have some suffocation going on, so it may not have any more room to breathe. So we're going to take it out, repot it, and we're just going to give it some breathing room here today. All right, so just want to go ahead and show you guys how to do that real quick. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've had a lot of friends ask me what I do to my plants to make them stay healthy and to keep them lasting really long and really nice. A couple of things that we're going to use today, and things that you should just have around your house. We're going to use scissors to cut away any dead roots, and we are going to use a cotton ball. We're going to use alcohol. We are going to use fresh media, which is the stuff that it gets planted in. Orchids do not get planted in soil like regular plants. They get planted in this stuff called media, which is basically wood bark, different types of material that give nurture to the plant and give the plant the ability to breathe, the roots the ability to breathe. I buy my media from repotme.com. It's a website that has all the materials and the accessories that you need to be successful with orchids. So if you guys want to check it out, you can definitely just go to repotme.com and check that website out. It's a really nice website. The things on there are a little bit expensive, but they do last a long time. I bought this bag maybe like 5 months ago, and I still have some left. You don't normally repot plants very often. If you repot a plant today, you should not have to repot it maybe for another 2 years, depending on how good the media is. So if you're buying good media, it should definitely last you for a really, really long time. So good media. And then I just buy these at your local hardware store or anywhere that sells plants. It's just fertilizer. One of the little droplets will last you for up to 12 months of fertilizer for your orchids. I've only used 2, and I've had this little packet for maybe about a year. So as you can tell, it's lasted me a long time because I have a lot of plants. So that's why I've used 2, but just liquid fertilizer. So I'm just going to let you know, the reason why we have a cotton ball and alcohol is because you should sterilize your scissors If you're going to be cutting roots on your orchids, you do not want to just go straight in with your scissors dirty or with any kind of tools that you haven't cleaned yet, because if this plant has any kind of bacteria or any kind of disease, you can get the plant sick. And if you go ahead and don't sterilize it before you cut another plant, then you can go ahead and infect another plant with the same scissors. So I'm going to sterilize all of my tools before I go ahead and cut that plant. And then I'm going to go ahead and clean it again before I do the next plant. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that now so you guys can see how I do it. I'm just going to soak my cotton ball, clean both sides of the scissors. And just make sure it's really clean. I normally just toss the cotton ball away, and when I get ready to move on to the second plant or the second flower, then I just use a new cotton ball. All right, guys, welcome back. So at this point of the video, I have already taken the larger flower out of its pot. So as you can see, this was the outer pot that it came in, the decorative pot. And this is always the pot the actual plant comes in. It comes in a plastic pot because this is the pot that allows it to drain, which has holes in it. And then as you can tell, this is the media that the plant from the store came in. This is really bad media actually, because as you can tell, it's like really broken down. It's like very deteriorated. The media, once it starts breaking down like this already gives you a hint that it's old, it's time to replace it. It's already starting to hold too much moisture, and that's what starts causing the root of the plants to start rotting. So if you look at the difference between this media and the media in this bag, you can tell the difference between it's like almost like dirt versus actual pieces of bark. So that's already like the hint that tells you, okay, my media is getting old, it's time to replace it. This is already way past time, way past due. So this next step that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just gently kind of lay the flower down, being very careful not to break any stems, because once you break your stem, you're gonna risk breaking a flower, and you don't want to do that, because you know you want to preserve your flowers for as long as you can while they're in bloom. So we're gonna just inspect this a little bit here. Looking at these roots, there's a lot of good roots here, so I'm actually very surprised when I took this out that these roots were actually in really good shape, you know, considering what kind of media this had. So the way you inspect the roots is you touch the roots to see like how stiff they are and how thick they feel. If you're touching roots and they feel soft and mushy, that's not really good. That means that the roots are, you know, soggy, mushy, they're rotting, they're gross, you know, that's not a very good root system. These roots right now are really thick, they're firm, so they're doing really good. But you see these roots up here, they're kind of dried out. I'm touching them and they have like no consistency in them. They kind of feel hollow. There's really no meat to them, I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna go ahead and with my sterilized scissors, just kind of cut those a few inches before the good part starts. So just a few inches before the good part starts. I'm just gonna cut those and just, you know, throw those away. And that just gives the plant, you know, good root just to work with. And it takes that, once you put them in a good media and start watering it properly and sterilize it, it just doesn't allow the plant to waste its energy on trying to survive these old roots. Okay, so we're just gonna keep on looking for all of these bad roots And we're just gonna start cutting away everything that's bad. See, like a lot of them are, I'm not even cutting them, they're just coming off on their own. I'm just kind of grabbing them with the scissors. Like a lot of this, you can just kind of shake the plant and a lot of it will just fall off. Okay, so this is all really nice now. I think most of these roots now are in great shape. All right, the next step that I always like to do is I'm gonna take this plant over to the sink and just run a little bit of water through it, just to kind of clean the root system a little bit and just hydrate it a little bit, okay? So I will be right back. I'm just gonna wash this root system here out in a minute. All right, guys, I'm back from the sink, and as you can tell, my roots are all wet. My leaves are all wet. I just kind of gave it a good wash. I took off some of that dust that it had sitting on the leaves from the store. A lot of the supermarket stores don't really have time to care for their plants that are just sitting there for months and months at a time. So it had a lot of dust sitting on the leaves. And so it's all clean now. And as you can tell, the roots had that grayish tint to them before I wet them, and now they look a little bit more greener, and they have a little bit of gloss to them. So that's how you know that your flowers or your plants are hydrated. When the root systems are green and glossy at the roots, that's when you know that they do not need water right away. When your roots start looking grayish and dried out and ashy, that's when you know it's maybe time to either water your plant or it's time to give it like a spray with a little spray bottle or something like that. So always keep a lookout at your roots. Orchids like to be wet most of the time, not soaking wet. You shouldn't water your orchid every single day. But if you have a spray bottle laying around, I always recommend that you have a spray bottle and just kind of give it a few sprays every 1 or 2 days, just to kind of keep the roots a little bit wet like this. All right, so the next step that we're gonna go ahead and do here is we're gonna start putting this plant, this orchid, back into its original pot. So I'm just gonna kind of lay this here on top of the pot here so I can prepare the pot. Let me just grab it out. So I always like to go in and put a little bit of media right at the bottom of the pot first. And I'm just gonna give you guys a close-up of what this media looks like. It has some bark. It's like, it almost looks like a mulch type base bark. It has like a white pebble, and then it has this grayish rock type thing. Sometimes it has I don't know if I put some in there right now, but sometimes it has some fern in there. So all of these items and all of this mixture gives your root systems the nutrients that the plant needs on a daily basis to keep itself healthy. So that's why this media from this website is so good, because it lasts a really long time. And it's specifically for orchids, so it's classic orchid mix. But they have all different kinds of stuff. They have all different kinds of media on the website. So just you know, if you're really into orchids, I recommend that you just go on there and really check it out. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little bit more, and I think that's good for now. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the plant. When you're positioning the plant, you always want to make sure that your flower is, your orchid is very straight. You don't want it to be crooked, because you're not going to replant this anytime soon. So your first replant has to be the best that you do. So I'm just going to make sure that it is as straight as I can get it, because I'm not going to replant this possibly for, I'm going to say about another year or so, if the media stays healthy and stays strong. All right, I'm gonna change this stake out for one longer one that I have there, because it's a little short and it's not reaching all the way at the bottom. So just hang tight real quick, be right back. Same size. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna take it out. I'm just gonna take this stake out and then unclamp it. It has these little clamps that come from the store, as you can tell. So I'm just gonna remove its clamps. Remove the old stake and switch it for the new one. There we go. And the reason why I did this is because that old stake was really short, so it wasn't reaching all the way at the bottom of the pot, so I can put it straight. So I can put the media in there and the plant would be straight. All right, and then along with the stake, you also want to make sure that your flowers are, the base of the leaves are as even and as straight as possible. So once you have it in the position you want, you're just going to go ahead and start filling in the pot. And you're just going to start cramming in the media in there, filling in all those gaps. And don't be afraid. The only thing I say to be careful with is when you're like pushing all the media in, be gentle with that part, because you don't want to break any of the roots. If you break one or two, that's not a big deal. But when you start breaking a lot of roots, then you have what's called open wounds. And an open wound on a plant, on an orchid especially, is not a very good thing on an orchid, because then you have, you know, the risk of it getting sick or having a bacteria or, you know, an infection or anything like that, and, you know, you stress the plant out. So just be careful when you're cramming stuff in there, when you're cramming when you're packing the pot with the media. Be gentle when you're doing that part, but don't be scared of putting the media in there. And then if you feel like you have enough in there, but then you inspect it and you see that there's like air pockets, just kind of bang it to kind of move all that stuff down. Use your fingers. All right, guys, so I have finished packing my new media in the pot. I have also gone ahead and just allowed some water to wet this new media. I let the water drain through the pot so that the new medium can get wet and the roots can just start soaking that up from the new media. This plant, this orchid, is now ready to go in its original decorative pot, and it is all set. My last step is going to be to just add a little bit of water from the faucet into this pot and just leave a little bit of water in there for it to just drink some water from it as the days pass. And that is it. This is how you repot an orchid that you bought from your local grocery store. I hope you guys enjoy, and don't forget to like this video below, subscribe if you want to, and I hope you guys learned something. Let me know what you think.